Anita is giving her first speech in the Level 2 Pathways project, Identifying Your Communication Style, in a speech titled, Who Me? A Communicator? This project proved to be challenging because Anita had never given much thought to how she communicated with others. Shortly after joining Toastmasters, however, she did realize that she needed to improve her listening skills. But she mistakenly confused being able to talk a lot with being a good communicator. Anita now recognizes that listening well is key to communicating well. She has identified certain personal traits in each of the 4 communication styles defined in this project, and she'll speak today to you about how to adapt your own personal styles to fit various situations when communicating with others. Her speech time is 5 to 7 minutes. Please help me welcome Anita.
This was a very thought-provoking project for me. I hadn't really given much thought to my own communication style, and for some reason, and I'll explain later, the first thing I thought of was doctors. Don't we expect and wish that all of our doctors were great communicators? That's a no-brainer, right? The term bedside manner should never be taken lightly when we're getting a referral to a doctor. We're going to want to ask, are they patient or arrogant? Are they sympathetic or dismissive? Now, the reason doctors came to mind when I started looking at this project was because I have a good friend who is dealing with some intestinal issues, and that's all I'm going to go into any detail this morning. She finally got an appointment with a gastroenterologist that a friend had recommended, and told him that she was trying out the FODMAP diet, which she explained to me is simply eliminating everything you really love to eat. But she was desperate. And the first words out of this doctor's mouth were, that diet doesn't work. He dismissed her. An intelligent woman who had done the research and was just trying to find that magic key to help alleviate her symptoms. What an arrogant communicator! The first thing I said to her was, you know what he should have said to you, the way he should have responded to you? He should have said, oh, and how is that working for you? But no. And then he should have listened to her. Is that too much to ask? Pathways identifies 4 distinct categories of communication style. Arrogant is not one of them. They are direct, initiates, analytical, and support. I would argue that most of us employ at least one characteristic from each of these 4 styles in our everyday communications, depending on the situation in which we find ourselves. And we might not even realize it or think about it, but as Toastmasters, we are very adept at figuring out how to make ourselves heard, but most importantly, how to learn from the people or the groups with whom we're communicating. So, for example, if you have a boss or a coworker or just know someone who you think would fall into the direct category, then you know that they are get to the point, direct, no nonsense people. They don't want you to over-explain something. But if you happen to be a person who falls into the initiates category, then you are enthusiastic, you're persuasive, you like to persuade, you're sociable, and you want approval. Now, we all want approval. 2 sentences into your interaction with this direct person, and you will quickly figure out that you're going to have to eliminate that warm and fuzzy story you were going to tell that would lead up to the point that you might eventually make. Gone. Now, if you are engaged with an analytical communicator. They are people who are cautious, precise, they're disciplined thinkers. You might employ the tactics of a direct communicator yourself. You would get to the point in a concise way that would invite analysis. Now, support communicators are sympathetic, they are patient, they are cooperative. And if you believe that you fall into this category, then you are someone whom I aspire to be. You are an active listener. And I don't believe that being an active listener means that as a communicator you're passive. No, because when you're really listening, you are laser focused on that person with whom you're speaking. You are looking them in the eye. You're not thinking, oh, what am I going to be saying next? I've got to figure out what I can say as soon as they stop talking. No, you're making eye contact with them. You are in that moment. And because of that, you will be listened to. Because you're nodding in support. You are perhaps politely asking them to stop and answer a clarifying question you might have. You are showing them that you are really interested in learning what their point of view is. And because of this, your input, your opinion, your feedback will be valued. You will be heard. Some of you may remember the TV series House, starring Hugh Laurie, as the brilliant diagnostician who also had the worst bedside manner on the planet. Whenever he interacted or communicated with his patients, and that was only when he was forced to do so, he had the worst bedside manner. It was malpractice on a grand scale. It made for great TV, no question. So when we talk about communication, I say, why not start with the doctors? As communicators, doctors like that should all be required to join a Toastmasters club. I'm being facetious, of course. It's a lovely thought. It'll never happen except in a parallel universe. But what I really am serious about this morning is asking each of you to think about your personal communication style and how you can adapt it according to whom you're communicating with and what their style is. But most importantly, I want to ask us all to strive never to commit communication malpractice.